Timmy.
Yes.
Why are you broke?
Well, I'm not broke. Well, on the inside I am, but that's not the topic at hand. It's more financially broke. Because I believe all of us are a little bit broken on the inside anyway, so.
Don't go too deep. We're just starting.
Yeah. So what makes a person broke?
Yeah.
That's a deep enough
Like,
question.
what is it broke anyway? Like, what define broke?
I guess that would mean something different to each person, because broke, I guess broke would be something different to everybody. I mean,
Like, don't think too much about it. What do you think is broke?
what I would consider broke, I would think you're going paycheck to paycheck. That's like kind of like the
And you
ceiling.
can't afford your bills, your necessities, right?
Yeah. You don't have anything extra, like at any point to do anything, and you're just like kind of going day to day, hoping that you figure it out, or
Have you ever been in that situation?
have I ever? No, I don't. Maybe when I was young, but like at that point, I didn't
When you're
really-
not like earning your own money yet.
But I've never actually been broke.
Yeah.
That I can recall, at least. I mean, I've been fearful of things.
It's like every day.
Yeah, it's just that I'm fearful of going to the gas station because I think I might just like swerve like in a dream and just crash and explode.
All right, you're being grim now.
So have you ever been broke? I don't think you
I
have.
think so.
You were broke?
Yeah, when I was a student, when I'm like not earning my own money yet. Because when you depend on other people and the people you're depending are broke, that makes you like extra broke, I feel like. But yeah, ever since I started earning my own income, I don't think I have been broke, just because I try to live way below my means.
I think
if I can help
also
it.
in your situation you're talking about is you were a student. I think when you're a student and you're still not fully independent financially, you're gonna be broke no matter what. Like when I was a student, I was still living at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't have very much money. I was making minimum wage. I guess you can add me to the broke club.
Yeah, I guess we've all been broke at some point, especially when we were still depending on our parents or guardians. But as an adult, I don't think I really have been broke either. But why do you think that is? Why can we say that about ourselves? It's not as if, we are rich, we are handed trust funds or anything, nor did we have very high paying jobs. But
I think it's just living within your means. That's really what it comes down to. Like maybe even a little excessively thinking I'm making this amount of money and I can't do anything really because I'm not making very much money, and I want to save money, and if I'm not saving, if my bank account isn't going up each month. This was back in the day when they used to mail you statements. I would get it every month and I would open it up like a present. Wow, it went up. Wow. And then one
your
time,
savings.
yeah, and then one time I got it and I'm like, oh, overdraft fees. I didn't realize this was happening.
Oh, wow.
Because my accounts were like mixed up or something like that. I just wasn't monitoring. This was when I wasn't even working.
Those are horrible.
Yeah.
Overdraft fees.
Yeah.
Back when I was working for a bank, like we had a lot of complaints about that. But anyway, so you don't think, well, let's backtrack. I think for a lot of people, they are broke because of an income problem. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think it's either an income problem plus on top of like an unexpected thing, like a medical bill that comes through. That's really like the one thing you can kind of don't have much control over, and then it's just something outrageous that you just weren't expecting to happen.
For sure, if you have an income problem, by an income problem we're saying like income that's very, very low, like near poverty level, and you don't have an emergency fund, how can you afford unexpected emergencies like that, like being sick or whatever, your car broke down? That's really what.
When you start on the bottom, it's really hard to get yourself out of there. I mean, I know there's plenty of stories of people to do but it's just not normal to be able
It's
to.
very depressing to think of, to think about being stuck there. Like, we've been very lucky that it's been a long while since we have been broke and have been in those kinds of situations, but we have been there. I have been there especially because I came from the Philippines, it's a developing country, and I didn't come from a rich family. So imagine being poor in the States, being poor in the Philippines, which is a developing country. It's a lot worse.
Yeah, being poor in the United States is you have an iPhone 4. Being poor in the Philippines is
Where are you
a
gonna?
rice sandwich.
If you're lucky, you can't
Well,
even afford
rice on rice.
rice. You can't even afford a rice for a lot of families. But yeah, this is depressing. It's kind of depressing thinking back about those times. That is why we are so frugal and careful with our money, because we don't want to go back there.
But at what point, what do you think made your family broke and made you, or is it just like kind of the culture? I feel like a lot of the Philippines is kind of like the value of money there is just like nobody really has it easy.
Some people do, it's like there's the rich and the poor, and there's, I don't know if I could even say there's some middle class, like you're either rich or poor, but it goes back to that thing we called having a privilege, If you're born into a family that is already financially stable, then that puts you ahead, of the starting line compared to other people. Whereas if you're like me, if you're born to parents that are teenagers, that haven't even got their start in life.
Parents who are teenagers who are broke because their parents are broke.
Yeah, like how do you
get yourself out of that hole.
Yeah, exactly. So that's already like a late, what do you call a late? It's not a late start. It's like starting from the back for me, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
like if we're in a race, I'm already starting way behind other people.
Yeah, and you're
And not that we're having a pity party here, but I'm just saying you ask me about like
why?
why?
So it's my fault.
Pretty much.
I'm to blame.
But yeah, I know we're laughing, but yeah, not having enough money to live, that's depressing as F. I can't even say, I don't even know if I could say the word. I probably could. It's depressing as fuck. Yeah.
I don't think you should probably say it. You definitely can't like use lyrics from a song to say it.
Imagine if you don't have any savings. I think you're gonna have a panic attack. You're gonna have a tightness in your chest.
I would be. Ridiculous. If we didn't have any savings, like it depends really where the savings all went to. I guess, because like if I also didn't have a job, then it would be really. I feel like I'd almost feel just as bad if I didn't have a job, if I didn't have any savings, because it's like, okay, how quickly are those savings gonna dwindle?
For sure.
That's kind of would still be a similar fear.
But you'd still be fearful, right? If you don't have at least one of those, it's still like gonna leave you an uneasy feeling in your stomach. I know it does for me, So I think income is one factor why people are broke. Another one is like me, if you already started in a hole. But the other thing is also something that's within control for a lot of people, which is, living a very expensive lifestyle that you can't afford.
It doesn't even have to be like an expensive lifestyle, because the same way that definition of broke differs from person to person, an expensive lifestyle is going to differ from person to person, because there's people I know who probably wouldn't think they have an expensive lifestyle, but I would think they have an expensive lifestyle. Yeah. They go on lots of vacations.
Even if they have a 6-figure income, if you're living, I don't know, a 7-figure lifestyle.
Or a 6.1 figure lifestyle, just a little bit at a time. If you're not at least breaking even, unless you have the savings, I mean, sure, you can break even every month and last forever. But I mean, at the same point, like, you have to be investing and doing all those other little things. I think a lot of people just aren't really aware of how frivolously they spend on things.
That's a good point. Like, people are just unaware of where their money is going because they're not tracking it.
It's the same people. We all have somebody we know who they just are always going on vacations or going to sporting events with really great seats when it just... But there's also the same people who complain that they don't have money, or they complain about their job or something like that. You're digging your own grave, really, a lot of the time. It's self-fulfilling.
It's either they're really not aware of how much money is coming and going, and you know that they're already in the red, but also people are aware, but they're just not able to sacrifice that lifestyle. You know, they just want to live life right now instead of worrying about the future. I think that's more, I don't know, are you born that way? What do you think? Or is that something, I'm not asking you, hypothetically, like, are you just born that way? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the circumstances that I was born in, why I'm so not like that, why I can't just live above my means, you know, why I'm always careful with money.
I think it's also environmental too.
Yeah, like how you grew up, you think?
Yeah, how you grew up, and I think a lot of the time people who live above their means are trying to impress someone, whether it's friends or strangers, which is even weirder when you want to impress a stranger with a fancy car you can't afford or nice clothes that nobody even is going to notice anyway. I think that's the problem, and that's probably more environmental anyway, because you just didn't get enough hugs when you were young.
You're not joking, right?
No.
Anyway, so yeah, it's for a lot of people, it's really more of a, not just a financial problem of being broke. It's a lot of the time it's psychological, you know, because you can't control your behavior towards money.
A lot of it, I think, is just no real education, because they didn't teach us anything in school about like finance. Nothing, not even how to write a check, something as simple as that.
I still ask you sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, especially in the Philippines, nobody taught us financial literacy in school.
I think that's universal across the entire world. If they're not teaching that in the United States, where they teach you like 10 different forms of math that never get used, they're not teaching.
They really should start doing it like in school.
I'm sure now they have like a class you can take when you're a senior, like financial literacy or something similar. But maybe they just don't want us to be smart. I mean, put on your conspiracy theorist hat that they just want you. Oh wait, I'm going to take out a college loan. Oh yes.
What's going to happen to the economy, you know, if people don't spend? That's the other part of the question.
Exactly. But, I mean, not everybody can just hoard money.
Like you? Like in your gold bars?
Yeah, my gold bars, and which are wrapped in silver.
Your offshore bank account? You wish.
Swiss bank account.
The Cayman Islands? Nicolas Cage guarding your treasure? What are we talking about again?
The Cayman Islands. So I think we can agree on what makes somebody broke, but what about what could prevent somebody from becoming broke or getting out of it? What are your thoughts on that?
You have to have a lot of safety nets in place. And by safety nets, I mean building a huge enough emergency fund. And you know what Dave Ramsey preaches, I don't know if he still does it, but the $1,000 emergency fund.
I'm sure
right?
he does. He's been doing that since like 1990.
It just doesn't make sense in the current economy right now. $1,000 is not enough emergency fund. I think you have to have at least 6 months for me to feel safe.
That's just his starter emergency fund. The 6 months is the...
I know, $1,000 is still better than nothing, but you ask, like, how can you prevent being broke? Then build up an emergency fund that is larger than that, because if your car breaks down, or I don't know, the water heater breaks, that could easily be well over $1,000 and have more than one source of income. Really, I think is a good plan if you can do that.
I think you can even just narrow it down to something more basic than just like your examples are very like specific that people can do. But I think it's just something as simple as just having like priorities and goals. Just having that, and what you're saying is having two sources of income, growing an emergency fund. Those need to be a priority, or those need to be a goal.
So if we backtrack, what could keep you from getting broke? Setting priorities and goals. And maybe one of the things that you could do is to track your money. Because how would you know that you are doing something wrong if you're not monitoring it?
Yeah, you'd be amazed how many people don't even know how much money they make.
I know.
Or probably even fewer know how much money. No, I take it back. I bet more people know how much money they have than how much money they make, because they just get that little receipt from the ATM that they wasted $5 on because it wasn't their bank's ATM, and they see that the little amount less than their weight.
You have a bone to pick there.
Yeah. No, that's just annoying. Why would you ever use one of those ATMs? Like
convenience.
There's nothing convenient about a fee. It's like the fun size candy bars. There's nothing fun about a piece of candy this big.
But yeah, I guess the first thing you should do is to track your expenses and have an honest look of your financials, like know where you really are, like how much money do you have in the bank and how much money is going to come in, and like from there budget, really track your expenses. We don't really budget now. It's because we just like know what we're spending our money each month. So
yeah, because we're either going to buy it or we're not. It's just that simple. I'm not going to say, oh, I can't spend $10 extra on food.
Yeah, because we're lucky enough that we can afford it right now. But like, if you can't, if you're broke, then really start on budgeting and tracking your expenses, because how would you know?
Yeah, because you need, until you can get that control, that sense of control, like you do need some sort of a budget. And it doesn't even have to be complicated. It could just be something as simple as, I'm going to spend this amount of money this month on everything. You don't even have to make it complicated. Of course, it's a lot. You'll be a lot more successful if you really narrow it down into different categories, eliminate things. But I think if you just say, I'm going to spend X amount of money this month, and you stick with it, that's like just the simplest way to start becoming not broken.
Logically, that is correct. Like, it really is as simple as that. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that it's easy to do it for most people.
Yeah,
probably.
It's a big change.
And it's hard to sacrifice something that you're so used to, that you're comfortable with, that you think you deserve, in order to build your financial wealth.
Like a morning coffee or something like that. Like
or like that nice car that you're driving that is killing you every month with your monthly payments, just to keep up with the Joneses, really, just to keep the lifestyle that you think you deserve. Like, if I am not as careful as I'm with money, then I don't know, I'll buy all the notebooks that I can, the journals, I don't know. That's just a specific example that I can name off. And I don't know, I have things that I want to buy, but I'm not buying them because it just doesn't make sense.
It's just impulsive.
It's just a frivolous want.
Yeah, I think people just get very impulsive with a lot of things that they'll spend on. It's something shiny or cute or pretty. It just, there's nothing wrong, I think, with impulse buys when it's something small, occasional. But if you're just someone who always goes to the store and you end up spending twice as much, then there's probably a problem. And the people who are impulsive like that, it's not the billionaires. They're not the ones who are impulse grabbing like a candy bar at the checkout counter. It's people who have impulsive tendencies, I think, in general in their life, and that's probably something that I can't help you with.
Yeah. It's hard because we already said that it's, you know, it could be a psychological,
Yeah.
mental problem that is not that easy to fix. And, you know, I don't even know the answer. Like, if it really sucks if you're in that situation, you need to get help. Like, I don't know, psychological help, therapy, or counseling, whatever you need to in order to fix your life. But for some people, it's not that dire.
I think it's just a bad habits that you get into, and you just get so familiar with, this is my routine. I'm just gonna go out in the morning. I'm gonna buy my breakfast on the way to work. While I'm at work, I'm gonna have something delivered to me. But on the way home, I'm gonna stop off and get food. So people don't even, a lot of people I think who are broke probably don't even have some basic skills like cooking for themselves, or they just don't have the desire to learn or try. I don't know. I thought for a while people were getting away from that. But I think with all like the delivery services now,
It's ridiculous, the fees.
yeah, I think at that point that kind of came back, especially with the younger people who just don't know any better. They're just getting food delivered constantly. But I mean, that's always gonna have ebbs and flows, I think, in society, where it's, oh, everybody at work puts their money in together and we all order food, like the pizza day at the work. It's like, that's so expensive.
Did you have that at your previous job?
I've had like the food, or like people. I mean, I would just go to Subway when they had $5 sandwiches.
Yeah, me too. Whenever they ask, oh, does anybody want to order? And they distribute the menu, right? Like, this is so expensive, and I already brought my lunch. And do I, just to socialize, just to feel like I belong with them? Should I really, you know? It's almost like a peer pressure kind of thing. And I don't really need it. 99.9% of the time I said no whenever somebody offered. It's nice of them to still offer, even though I keep saying no, but still, you know.
It's weird because you so want to, sometimes I don't even know if it's that you want to belong, because a lot of times you don't want to belong with the people that are asking you. It's just that you don't want to be the outsider. That's the worst thing. You don't want to be. So I had a coworker at a job that every time we would eat together, he would just disappear and no one had any idea why. And he would never explain. And he was such like a weird, open guy about lots of things, but this one thing he was just very secretive about. So I don't know.
He's embarrassed of being seen eating.
Maybe he's a very messy eater.
Maybe, or I don't know.
But I mean, that was like a job where I felt like I didn't want to be the outsider, so I would like, it wasn't like financial, like I didn't have to like pay for any of the food or anything. But like, I don't know, maybe if there was like let's all throw in $10 to buy the boss something. It's like, you feel obligated to have to do that thing. You don't want to belong, but you don't want to feel like the outsider sometimes.
Yeah, totally. That's why it's so good to work from home.
Yeah.
If you can, oh my goodness, take it. It's coming from introverts, but I know we're kind of biased that way. Anyway, so keeping a lifestyle that you can't afford might be something that's not really felt immediately by a lot of people because they use their credit cards. So what's your opinion about that?
About credit cards? I just pay it off every month automatically.
Well, if you can, but a lot of people use it as their emergency fund.
If you have to do that, I think that's a really good thing to have, and you're not taking out a loan. So
do you think credit cards should be used as emergency funds then?
No. But like, if you really don't have an emergency fund, I don't think, like... Yeah.
I mean, my definition of emergency fund wouldn't be a credit card, but if you really don't have savings, then yeah, you need to use it.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with using a credit card, like in case of an emergency, because I mean, it's a lot better than going to like a loan shark or something.
I need to get my coffee.
No, that's just...
Or I need to get the latest MacBook Pro or the latest iPhone.
That's not an emergency. Like, emergency is like, I need to get my finger sewn back on. That's an emergency.
So cut off your finger. So what's keeping a person broke really is they're not financially aware and financially responsible.
and they're not responsible because they're not aware. So I think that's really what it comes down to. This, either you just don't know, or you just don't want to know. I think that's the even worse thing, because people who are broke know they're broke.
Yeah.
But they don't want to find a solution most of the time. And I think that's a problem with a lot of things in life. People just, they know there's a problem, but they just don't want to find the solution. They don't want to put the work in for it.
Some people are just in really, it's not everyone. I know you're not saying that it's everyone. Some people are just in really bad situations. They're trying to look for a job every day, but just can't find a job, and they don't have savings anymore left. Those are really, I feel bad for those people. But
I almost don't even consider those people broke. I almost think they're just like living through poverty in a way. Like, and broke, I feel like, is almost like the people who have those advantages and they're just not taking advantage of it.
You can fix that. It's within your means.
Yeah. Just imagine like a tall white guy like emptying out his pockets outside. I'm broke. Can't. Turning his pockets inside out. Just insisting that like somebody else pay for him. Somebody who has the means to fix the problem, but they just refuse to.
That's your definition of a
Yeah, I
broke
feel like
person.
that's more like a broken. Then there's people who are like living in poverty. And that's like a whole different
story. Yeah.
That's like a whole different level, and that's like that's an issue that's probably generations a lot of the time.
So what's your recommendation for those people? How do you stop being broke?
How to stop being broke? I think you just have to set goals and priorities, and you have to actually want to do it yourself, because nobody is gonna do it for you. Because truth be told, nobody really cares if you're broke. They're not gonna want to deal with you eventually anyway. So if becoming, what's the opposite of broke? Mended? Taped together. If you want to become taped together financially, it's up to you, really.
Yeah. You have to be willing to do the work.
Yeah,
you have to be willing to sacrifice the lifestyle that you're used to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You just have to make the changes, because nobody's going to do it for you. I mean, nobody cares about the pity parties or anything like that.
Yeah, we could cite all the excuses, but at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself if you want anything to change at all. You have to be honest and do the work.
Yeah.
It's not a sin. Like, it's not something that you cannot change.
It's not a bad thing either. I mean, everybody, I think, has the capability of becoming broke. It's just a matter of not wanting to be there, not wanting to be like so many other people. I mean, I guess a lot of broke friends probably hang out with other broke people, and they probably go in circles.
Yeah, it's also a thing. Like, the people you surround with do influence you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. But yeah, stop being broke. Just do the work now. You can do it.
Just do the work. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and maybe even leave a comment.
Yeah, comments, suggestions, thoughts, whatever you have for us, please leave it down in the comment section below. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Peace.